Right. Well, I am so excited. Hello, everybody. Today we have Taylor Temple here from Mind and Body by Temple. She is a fitness instructor and she doesn't just focus on the body, she focuses on the mindset as well. Because, I just got a new sports bra from Yoga Club this week. And on the inside, I put it on this morning. And on the inside, it has this inscription. It's like, the body believes the body receives what the mind believes. And I think it's such an important piece when it comes to actually achieving our fitness goals or our goals for health in general, is really just starting at the mindset. And I love how Taylor has taken that passion just from her own experiences of mental health and different things that she's had to endure in her own life growing up and going into adulthood. How she's really been able to take her trials and her tribulations and her struggles of that mental awareness and bring it into this space of healthy living, and how those two pieces are so crucial when it comes to having any form of success. So I really just don't want to waste too much time. I just want to dive right into her story, because I think that we have a lot in common when it comes to this area. And yeah, that's about it. I want Taylor just to come and share with us. So tell me, Taylor, when it comes to mental health, what is the biggest thing that pops out for you in your experience of how you view it, how it has affected your life?
Yeah, hey Stacey. So thanks for having me. Great question. So I think mental health is kind of the foundation for everything, right? I think we find ourselves when we don't take care and prioritize our mental health and our well-being, everything else kind of starts to decline as well. So with my company, Mind and Body by Temple, it takes into consideration our mindset, where we are mentally, before we talk about our physical aspects. Because mentally, if we're unwell or in a very negative space, it is going to affect how our body functions as well, right? So if we wake up and we find ourselves in, hey, maybe I'm a little grumpier today. Okay, you're going to notice you're going to have more pain, stiffness, probably not feeling as well, head to toe as well. So when it comes to mental health, it's really the foundation of our overall well-being.
Mm-hmm. I'm a huge advocate of like, what you think about, you bring about. So if you are focusing on those pains and aches, I can guarantee you every step's going to hurt. But if you can focus on something else, like an area that is feeling good that day, sometimes our hair could, be really great that day, and you're like, oh, my hair, you're not thinking about your body's aches and pains, right? It's that distraction piece. So tell me, I know we just had a small brief conversation prior to us going live today, but you had a mom that wrestled with mental illness. And what was that like for you? I know it hits home for me real deep. So what was that like for you?
Definitely back in the day, there wasn't as much awareness around it, right? So there definitely was a lot more confusion back in the day. You see someone struggle and you understand that they're struggling, but you don't understand why. So from an outside perspective, definitely very complex. But obviously now in the present day and age, we do have more support systems in place, which is absolutely wonderful for mental health. But I know for myself where I was, it was the support that they had was they go get checked into a hospital for maybe 4 to 7 days and then get released and then think that they would be okay. But you've ever heard the saying, it takes 66 repetitions to create a change. So it is more of a commitment. It's up to 6 months of actually committing to something before you see any changes in anyone. And back in the day, we definitely did not have that awareness around mental health.
No. And so with your mom, how is she doing now? Has she got the right support and resources in her?
So unfortunately, no. So it's the same kind of vicious cycle as that. They'll take her in, they'll put her on that medication, but because they don't have kind of where the world is right now, there's not enough funds for the mental health awareness. So there's a lack of hospital beds. There's a lack of actual support and resources for that. So yeah, it's the battle between her taking the medication, not taking the medication, and then the lack of support there still.
Right. So that's heart-wrenching for your mom to be suffering through that I call it torment because it really does feel like you're being tortured on a day-to-day basis when you get stuck in those pits. I had my own pit for a long time and I got pretty darn comfortable in that pit. I had a rug, I had pictures on the wall. And if I came up for air, I slid right back down real fast. And I know what it's like to be in that space. It's lonely. You don't think anybody understands the struggle. Does your, like, with you under having this understanding of mental health, like, is she able to find support and encouragement from you, or is she still kind of very sheltered in sharing her struggle?
So I think, so from my personal experience, I went through a very abusive marriage. Thank goodness that is over.
Mm,
But I hit a really dark point at that as well. Like you hit a point where you're so unhappy that it affects every aspect of your life, right? So I think kind of how I have my business, Mind and Body by Temple, is addressing like you take care of yourself and you fill your own cup, and you have to want to make that change for yourself because no one can force you to make that change and invest in yourself. So I think everybody has to hit that point where it's a wake up call. When are you tired? Pardon me, it's a term. When are you tired of your own shit? And
mm,
when are you going to make that commitment to pull yourself out of that hole and to realize you need to take ownership over how you feel and where your life is at and decide to invest in yourself
mhm.
instead of continuing going down that path. And like you said, you experienced that yourself. I'm assuming when you hit that point, nobody can force you out of it. You have to make that decision for yourself, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's literally Mind and Body by Temple is like I work with people who are ready to make that commitment and invest in themselves. So
Right.
I can't force anyone to make that decision for themselves. But what we can do with the way the world is now is we can create awareness around it, let people know, hey, it's okay to feel like this. We've been through similar experiences. If you're ready, let's take action. Like let's invest in yourself and let's create the life that you want, not the life that you currently have. Because like
Mhm.
everyone's worth investing their energy into themselves. We create our reality, right?
Mhm. So being in an abusive marriage, like how long were you in that relationship for?
The relationship was 6.5 years. So the first 2 years was a little bit, I'll be honest with you, was more infatuation. Now looking back on it. So head over heels, honeymoon phase. And then as soon as the marriage happened, all of the red flags started to come about and the abuse started to happen on both physical and mental.
Mm. So when did you realize in that relationship, you're like, this ain't right? Like, tap out. I got to make a change.
Great question. The sad reality there is that I thought marriage was for life. So I was quite stubborn throughout the relationship and I knew what he was doing was wrong. And I tried to stick it out because as a good wife, as a good person, and I made this commitment, and I dedicated myself to this individual, I will support them regardless. It got to the point where my own happiness, my mental well-being was way out the window. And the only thing I was prioritizing was this person's happiness, because if they weren't happy, then I was getting the brunt of it. So
Mm.
unfortunately, it took him cheating on me for me to leave.
But that actually gives you an out, right? You're like, okay, that's the deal breaker right there. I can put up with all the other crap, but like, that's the deal breaker. So that
Yeah.
was like giving you an opportunity to make a shift with having a good conscience with your own self, right? Because
Right. A blessing in disguise, right? And I'm happy to
yes.
see it that way because 100% it was a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, because we do, like, we get in that mindset that we're like, oh, because I have the same mindset. It's like marriage is for life, and it, you know, we're in it, right? But if my husband was to cheat on me, that'd be game over.
Right? Yeah, no, that was a decision. We cannot forgive that one. Yeah.
No, but I have put up with, like, because we both came into, we've been married for 18 years, and we both came from really broken families. Like his parents split when he was young, and his mom had her issues, and his dad was very promiscuous and had lots of different relationships. And my husband was a bit of a playboy, so he had all that, like, my shit don't stink kind of attitude when it came into our relationship. But let me tell you, his farts gave him away. Like, I totally call him out on it. But it's been a journey of us trying to heal and process all of that. But because we had two willing spirits coming together on one mission or one commitment, it has been a joint effort to make our marriage work. There's been seasons where we'd lay in bed together and be like, I'm not happy. Well, neither am I. And so what are we going to do about it? Like, we just don't want to touch each other. We don't want to nothing. Like, this is not healthy. And so, but our relationship's fabulous today. And it hasn't always been that way. It's been a challenge, but it has to take two parties. And if we aren't going to own our own stuff that we're bringing to the table, because we all have junk, like we said earlier, is this, like, we are all a bunch of broken people coming to try exist in this world together. And I don't even know where I'm going with all of that, but
You're exactly right, though. And I think that's kind of like the concept of it all, is like, we're all broken in our own unique ways. And we need to stop having any kind of shame around that, because it's more common than not. Okay, everyone's broken. Let's just be honest. Everyone's broken in their unique ways, and we need to create awareness around it, acceptance around it, and we need to acknowledge it and do something about it instead of having shame about it and trying to tuck it under a rug, right?
Yeah, or judging others, right? Because I actually had a conversation with a gentleman yesterday. He was very judgmental towards people that are addicted to substances. And I'm like, you can't judge their path, because you have no idea what brought them to be reliant on those substances. And there's always a deeper issue that's involved when people are stuck in that space. So you can't judge their path or their decisions or choices, because if you were to walk a mile in their shoes, you may or may not do the same thing. You can't judge. We really don't know what the other person's going through. And if we're looking at them and we're like, oh, why would they do that? I would never do that. Like, we can't even because I am a firm believer is that judging you will be judged, right? Kind of thing. That kind of concept is just like, if I can give grace, then grace will come back to me. If I can show love, then love will come back to me. And those are things in my life that I've needed a lot of to overcome my traumas and dysfunction. If it wasn't for people coming along with a loving spirit and with no judgment and just accepting me and taking the time to listen, I wouldn't be where I am today. I'd still be a hot mess. Like, so when you made that decision to break out of that relationship with that blessing of disguise, that was probably like the fuel that just kind of like ignited your rocket to get on out of there. What was the days after that followed? How did that affect your mental health?
At first, it was like, I'll be honest with you, there was 3 days where it was pure sadness, endless tears, endless waterworks. But after that, it was internal peace.
It was
like internal peace.
Aww.
Like, I just had a peace of mind and a peace of heart. And it was like the weight of the world was lifted off my shoulders, because I was no longer in this toxic relationship that was constantly trying to tear me down, both mentally and physically.
Right.
So it was almost an instant, just like sigh of relief.
Right.
Yeah.
And did you have children?
No, we did not.
Okay, that simplifies things a tad.
right? It definitely did.
At
Definitely
least you don't
did.
have to face him every day or every
Right?
week.
That tie was cut and it is cut permanently. Thank goodness.
Oh,
And I think it's just so important knowing that no one was coming to, I hate to word it this way, no one was coming to save me, that I was now on my own and I was
right.
now an individual as an I instead of a we. So
Mhm.
it was like, who do I need to take care of? Is me. And like coming down to my mind, my body, making sure mental health was top priority and making sure I was filling my own cup before I filled anyone else's. And it was kind of like, as soon as that separation happened, was I made that promise to myself was I will never be second priority. I
Mhm.
will always be my number one priority to make sure that I am happy, I am whole, and I am healthy before I can help anyone else. They have this saying like, you can't pour from an empty cup, but when you pour yours, yours overflows into everyone around you.
Mm.
And it's true. That is the concept that I live by, and that's kind of the motto of my business is we're here to take care of you, to make you a priority, so you overflow and you spread that love and energy to everyone
I love that. It's so
around
powerful.
you. Right?
So, what were some of the first things that you did to take care of you?
Lots of books. So definitely lots of psychology books. It was Brene Brown, read lots of those. Actually, Deepak Chopra. He is the end all to be all when it comes to meditation, mind, body, soul connection. So I just, all of his audio books, his actual paperback novels, and then he has lots of meditations. Just indulged in that to really figure out how do I go inside of me to heal me,
Mm.
and then workouts, making sure that my nutrition was on track, making sure my workouts were on track, and just taking care of who I am and my entity as a, yeah, as me.
So good. So good. I loved how you mentioned nutrition as well, because I personally have recognized when I eat specific things, my emotions get like totally scattered. Because there is that connection between your mind and your gut. And if your nutrition's off or, tainted in any way, it will affect the way we're feeling and the way we're processing the stresses of our everyday life.
Oh,
Right.
it 100% impacts the hormones and how our body runs, right?
Yeah.
Like if you were to sit there and eat McDonald's every day of the week or 3 times of the week, when you're already upset, it's not doing
Yeah.
anything well for you, right? But if
Oh,
you were to fuel your body with nutritious whole foods, you're naturally going to feel a lot better.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I have a weird system because of the stress that has happened in my world, and the fact that I abused it crazily in my 20s. I'm reaping the benefits of my abuse now. But I have to, when my body gets stressed out, it just repels any nutrients. So I can eat super well. Like we cheeks, my husband and I hate being in the kitchen for long periods of time. So we do the meal program with Good Food, and so they just send us our meals every week, and it helps because my husband will actually cook off the cue cards, and it helps diversify the load in our house, and neither one of us like doing it, so I'll clean the dishes, he'll cook, so it's a really good tag team that we got going on right now.
That's balance at its finest. Hey, that's a partnership. Well done.
Yeah, and then we turn the music on, we make it an experience, we chat, we talk about the day. It's been really great, as we've rolled tongue English rolled into that habit. But when I'm stressed, my body will repel all the nutrients. And so I've had to start juicing so that I can get like tons of nutrients into my system at one time. And so that my body can start regulating itself. And it has helped quite a bit. I've got more energy. I had emptied my bucket of excuses from being allergic to exercise because I had a million and one reasons. Um, so I had told my son in September, he was going off to hockey school, and I said, son, I said, I'm going to lose 30 pounds by Christmas, because I was over 200 pounds again for the second time of my life. And it's not a fun place to be, because you hate it. Like, you don't feel good about yourself. It wreaks havoc on your intimate life. And you don't want to leave the house. You don't want to like go anywhere, because you just don't feel good about yourself. But then you're quick to hit the drive-through because you want to eat your emotions, right? So, and that was the space that I was in. And then I'm like, I know I need to move my body, but I think I'm allergic. Like, I can't get over myself. Like, I knew all the things that I had to do, but I was like hurting, and my body was hurting, and I'm like, I don't want to move it because it hurts. Like, but that's the lie that we tell ourselves, that I was like, oh, I hurt, I can't move. But the more we move, the less our body will hurt.
Yes.
And I knew this for myself, but I just like, I had me a lot of excuses. So I had to empty that bucket and start making better choices for myself. And I also had this like aha moment, because my husband, let me just be real with you, like he has like a crazy sex drive. And I thought, like, unconsciously at the beginning, I started gaining weight because I'm like, oh, if I have a few pounds, maybe he won't like want me or feel want as much.
You do that strategically then, hey?
It
Oh,
was totally unconscious, but then I just had like a brain, like a light bulb moment. And I'm like, oh, well, that's not helping, because he still wants me. So it's only wrecking me. It's not hurting him at all. It's only hurting me. So I had to like, okay, girl, like, get over that. Embrace yourself.
well, there's this saying, they say the hard part isn't getting your body in shape. The hard part's getting your mind in shape.
Oh, that's the
Right?
hardest part.
It is like every true transformation you're going to make in life, it starts with the mind,
Oh, so true. So true.
right?
I'm so glad that you as a fitness trainer actually focus on that piece, because not too many of them out there do that. And that is the biggest battle. That is the hardest hurdle to overcome, is that mind piece.
Without a doubt. And you said that you were 200 pounds in the past, and then you recently just got back under, which great job.
Yes.
Well
Yeah.
done. Yeah, right. That's a big accomplishment, right on.
Yeah.
But it's retraining your way of thinking. Like how I approach my fitness and mind and body by Temple is, you want to reprogram your thinking. You want to create sustainable lifelong habits. So in order to do that, you need to rewire your way of thinking. Like exercise is good for my body. Kind of how you were saying you were allergic to exercise. Every time you said that, you were actually programming your mind to think that. So you truly believed it. You made your body and your mind believe
I can't sweat, I'll itch.
right? Right. Exactly. But if you were to rewire that thinking, and it's like, I love exercise. Exercise is good for my mind and my body. And you repeated that to yourself multiple times a day, you're now rewiring and reframing the way you're thinking, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so foundational, so foundational. And sometimes like we'll know it up here. Have you ever like know what to do, right? But it's like getting that connection into your heart and your soul so that you can actually make that shift, or get the fuel in the tank that you need to get across get out of the starting gate, right? So it's just a matter of getting started, because once you kind of, because I had said, okay, when I first started getting over myself in September, first it was my son's motivation, is his response. He just like, sure. He rolled his eyes at me. He did not think that I could do this, because he has seen my laziness over the last number of years. And so I'm like, all right, game on, boy, game on. Like, so first I wanted to prove to him, but now it's not even about him. It's like, you got this, Stacey. You know what it feels like to be healthy. And so let's not stop. Like, let's not do it for anybody else, but do it for you. And that, I think that's another shift that you have to make, like you did when you left that relationship is that you had to focus on what is best for you. How do you fill your cup? How do you do that so that you can overflow and be a blessing and pour into other people around you? And we can't do it from an empty cup. We can't. It's just impossible.
Right. Well, you can, but but there's this book, it's called The One Thing. And it's, if your cup is empty and you're unhappy, how do you think you're doing your tasks in your day-to-day life? Do
Oh,
you think
we're
you're
just
doing it at
spreading
100%?
misery, aren't we?
Right. It's like a negativity cloud is over you with everything that you're doing, right? But
Yeah.
now you're filling your own cup. You're feeling good about who you are and the effort you're investing in yourself. Now, when you do everything throughout your day, you're spreading the love and the positivity, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so revolutionary. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for sharing that. It's so true though. Like if you are going to try to pour from an empty cup, what are you truly dishing out?
Right. Put that into your perspective. Yeah.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
so good. So if somebody was to come to you, Taylor, and say, "Hey, I have this goal of losing 30 pounds by Christmas," what would you say to that person?
When was the last time that you lost 30 pounds in 4 weeks or 5 weeks?
Okay, well, this would have been obviously 30 pounds in that short of time is crazy. I'm already 12 down.
Right?
So let's say
Okay.
20. Let's say
Well,
20.
that 20 pounds, it's like, hey, how committed to you were you?
Yeah.
That's how I would follow up with that. Because you want to know what? I believe if you are ready to give yourself 110% and invest in you, then it's possible. But if you're only 70% committed to that, it's not going to happen in the time frame that you want it, right? But if
Yeah.
you're determined and you're aligned with that goal, it's going to happen.
Yeah. I'm a firm believer that we have to attach a why to our goals so that when it does get challenging and our mind wants to try to tell us to do something different outside of our path towards our goal, that we need that why to remind ourselves. And it has to be a really strong why. It can't be like, oh, I want to be, 30 pounds lighter so that my husband will want me. That's not my issue, but but in some people's scenarios that is. And it's not about that, because it's about loving yourself. Because I was telling a girlfriend not that long ago, it's just like um she truly just wants to be desired and appreciated for what she does. She does a lot for her family and it just goes unseen, but she also doesn't show them how she wants to be loved by loving herself first, if that makes sense.
It
So
does.
I think that once we start loving us and being selfish just for a hot minute, then we are showing others how we want to be treated and how we want to be loved. And it actually ignites that fire, because as I'm stepping further, like more and more into this journey that I've been on, my self-discovery journey, and really healing and becoming stronger in who I am. And now I'm exercising, so things are getting real hot around here. My husband's like, rawr, like he just like he just wants to love me and encourage me and support me in everything that I do. But it hasn't always been like that, because when I'm down on myself, he just repels. He wants to escape. He doesn't want to be around my empty cup, because I'm just spewing out all kinds of nasty, right? Like,
Right. No, that's it though. That is it, right? And
yeah,
nobody wants to feel like that either, right?
no.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I love that. So if somebody like, how do you train your clients? I know you have a gym, because our first meet and greet was at your gym. And but what else do you do? Online trainings as well, or how do you run your business, love?
Yeah. So Mind and Body by Temple, it is going to be mostly online. So I do actually in-home personal training.
Okay.
So the reason why I absolutely love that concept is because I have my ladies, they crawl out of bed in the morning, half the time, hair's not brushed, teeth aren't brushed. And how do they start their day? They start their day by filling their own cup and making themselves a priority. So I show up, we do an hour workout depending on what their mind and their body needs that day. And then boom, that's them setting the tone for their day to absolutely just kick ass. So that's one portion of my business is in-home personal training. And then the other portion is online coaching. So I have an app. Through that app, it's a two-way communication system for the coaching. So I upload all the coaching, personalized coaching programs that we have discussed, depending on what they need. And then it's Zoom calls for coaching calls, depending on where the client's at. Sometimes there's a few a week, sometimes only one a week. And depending on where the client is, sometimes it's just monthly calls.
Nice. So that's where you'll dive into the mental stuff, right? The mind game stuff. Yeah.
So I usually give them homework anyways. So it'll be a coaching call, kind of tapping into where they're currently at. We'll cover the mindset, the nutrition, and the fitness aspect. In the app, they'll have their workout program personalized based off their movement assessment or any kind of like aches and pains that they do have. Then mindset, kind of where they're at currently and what they need to be working on. I'll upload just mindset practices on the app as well. And then nutrition, the same thing. What are our main goals, focusing on the weeks to come. So that's uploaded into the app as well.
All right. And is your app like the same like Mind and Body by Temple?
So that's what the name is. I lease it from, it's called Trainerize. But yeah, I was able to customize it for my own personal business.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And then, so do your clients have to pay for that tool, or is it part of your package?
It is part of my package.
Okay, great. So if anybody here listening today is like, hey, that girl understands my messy brain and she'll show me some compassion, because look how much beauty and light and love you you just shine this like vibrancy. So be like, yes, that girl is lovely. I'd love to spend more time around her energy. And how would they go about getting in contact with you to join you in your morning workouts or the one-on-one stuff that you do? How would they get in contact?
Yeah, honestly, so the best way to get in contact with me is reach out directly, either through phone call or text message. So my phone number is 780-862-3946, or by visiting my webpage, www.mindbodybytemple.com. So those would be two great avenues. And then as soon as you click on my website, there's a contact form right there.
Okay, great. And do you have, like, with your group sessions, do they have like a start and end point, or can anybody join at any particular time? Are they jumping in on Zoom, or how do they do that?
So I actually are not doing any group sessions right now. So it's all individualized is what I do. If there is demand for group, I will be running some group training actual classes in Sherwood Park as of January. So some ladies can get a sense of community as well. But for right now, it is individualized.
Okay. So everything's just through the app then?
You betcha.
Awesome. Well, that's fun. Yay. Would you ever be willing to come and spoil my community with a live workout?
I would love to do that. Yeah.
Kick our butts.
Yes.
I huff and I puff and I whine a little, but that's okay, right?
As long as you show up, okay? You can do whatever you want after you show up, as long as you show up.
I can show up, whether I'm not, like, if you say get on the floor, I might not get back up, but we will give it a go. She'll keep that in mind. She's like, we're not doing any floor work today.
Yeah, we're crossing that off, okay?
No naps for her.
Lay on the ground.
Oh no, I'm not that bad anymore. Before I used to watch, like, I used to do some Beachbody workouts, right? And at some points in those videos, I'd sit down on the couch. I'm like, you crazy. You do you. I'm going to do me and throw my feet up. She's shaking her head at me.
Well, you're not the only one. Do you know how many times I've heard that in regards to like the home video workouts? Yeah. It's very common. Yeah.
Yeah, well, no, there's no accountability. No one can call you out. Hey, girl, get off your ass.
Right.
Move it.
Right. That's exactly it.
Yeah. Well, this has been awesome. Thank you so much, Taylor, for coming and sharing your story and just how this journey has brought you into this next level of being a stand apart fitness trainer, not just your typical personal trainer, but somebody that actually takes the time and the effort to dig into the root cause of why we get to where we get to. And that is revolutionary. And I think I wish you the best success, the most success for your business and the impact that you're making in your communities and abroad. And thank you so much. I really enjoyed having this conversation with you. And I do look forward to you coming and whooping our butts sometime in the future.
Well, thanks for having me, Stacey. And I love what you're doing, this beautiful You app, and just like this sense of community of bringing other empowering women together is amazing, and definitely something the world needs more of. So thank you for thinking of me.
Oh, I'm so glad that we were able to connect and that you could come and bless the community. And I do, if anybody here wants to get in contact with her, I will put her phone number at the bottom of the screen and her email, or not her web address, and then you can just reach out to connect with her. And she has an app too, so you're just gonna get your phone all filled up with all this fun stuff that you're just never gonna want to leave your house. You're just gonna be so well taken care of. With community, like you're just not going to be stuck behind a screen scrolling a bunch of like filters, but you'll actually get real people, because I don't show up with makeup on half the time either. So you got to be real. Like I'm just all about it.
Love that.
So, well, thanks again, Taylor. I appreciate your time today.
Thank you, Stacey.